So last week, when we put the video up, we talked about Springfield Armory's really new pistol, the Hellcat. And we talked about how it compared very favorably, was a very direct competitor to the very popular Sig P365. So we thought it'd be a good idea today to take those two pistols and compare them very closely and see what they share and maybe what they don't share. Both pretty good guns, like we talked about last week. I've shot them both. They're both very comfortable shooters. There's a whole trend towards taking concealed carry pistols and making them small, but making them shootable. Good sights, handles recoil well, all that sort of thing. And there's a variety of concealed carry pistols out there that do that. But one of the latest trends, and the trend that the Sig P365 kind of started, was a really small, very shootable gun that has a higher capacity. Most of these things, as you know, are single stack magazines. You get 6, 7, maybe 8 rounds. The 365 gets 10 rounds. So that kind of started that. Let's get a small gun and let's increase the capacity. Because let's face it, we like more bullets, right? We like capacity in things. How many bullets you going to need? I don't know, and neither do you, and neither does anybody else before the fight starts. The average is what, 2, 3, 4 rounds? Higher capacity mags have maybe bumped that up a little bit, but still it's comforting to know that you got plenty of ammunition. So, here's these two pistols. Now, just hold them up here. You look at it. By the way, they're both empty and safe. We have magazines, empty magazines in them, so we can lock them open and show all that and get a good accurate size comparison. But if you just hold them up here, they look like they're about the same size. Well, that's because they are just about the same size, okay? We're going to close the slide here on the 365. We're going to close the slide on the Hellcat. And we're going to hold them up here again. And again, they're just about the same size. If I take them and I turn them and I put them tang to tang right there, just like that, just about the same size. Is one of them bigger than the other? The Hellcat just slightly. If we put it tang to tang, the Hellcat ends up being just a notch longer, not very much. I don't think that's enough to be a big concern. Overall, the acreage that either one of these pistols occupies is going to be functionally the same, okay? We haven't had a chance to try this in a lot of other holsters just yet. I think it's probably going to fit in a lot of things pretty well, and it's probably going to fit in a lot of things the 365 fits in because the format is so close to the same. What do these two guns share feature-wise? Well, they both have, in terms of the guns themselves, they both have front and rear cocking serrations. I think you can see those there on the gun. There's the front on that one and the rear on that one. Same thing here and there. On the Hellcat, they roll those serrations over the top of the slide. Kind of a nice touch. So they both share front and rear cocking serrations. They both share night sights. The 365 has the X-ray series sight, so you've got a green, I don't know if you can see it or not, you got a green front up there, it's a night sight, and then you've got the two green dots in the back. The Hellcat uses the very universally visible chartreuse green or greenish yellow, however you want to describe it, front sight, which is a night sight, and then the back sight has this white outline, but it doesn't give you 2 tritium dots. It doesn't give you night sight back there. Not necessarily a hindrance. You're drawn to the front sight, which is where you want to be. Just a little different format in how they built them. The sights on the Sig and the sights on the Hellcat, either one, if you look at them, they've got a little bit of a shelf. The Hellcat's has a specific shelf built into this sight. This one, the sight has a front surface on it, so if you had to, some of you that know you can take a pistol like this and you can hook the rear sight on something and rack the slide. You got a sight profile that lets you do that. So you could do that if you wanted to. Both of these guns have not ambidextrous, but they have reversible magazine releases. So you can switch the magazine release to the other side if you're left-handed. Neither one of them has an ambidextrous slide release. The slide release is only on the left side of the gun, kind of intended to be operated by a right-hander. Some of you people who are left-handed know that's not such a big hindrance. Modern technique teaches you to not reach for that anyway. It teaches you to operate the slide, so you're not trying to reach for a little tiny button somewhere or a lever. You got something big like the slide you can get a hold of and get a more positive feed off of it. The slide releases on both of these guns. Let's see if I can get them up here where you see them right under my index finger on both of them. The slide releases are very small. That's done purposely. They're usable, you can get to them, but it's done purposely because we don't want it sticking out and catching and hanging on things, right? So that's the way that works. The grips on both of these weapons are stippled. We talked a little bit about how they did kind of a two-layer stippling on the Hellcat. The stippling on the polymer frame, both of them are polymer frame, by the way, on the 365 is very similar. I don't think it's two-layer, at least doesn't feel like it. But it's similar. Now, the Hellcat has this stippling in a few more places than the 365 does. The 365 has it on the back, has it here, and then up in this area here, okay, on the front strap. The Hellcat doesn't. The Hellcat's got it all the way around the grip, but it also has up here just where you would index with your shooting hand finger on both sides of the gun. It has a small set of stippling right there that gives you a good index point. They actually even also stippled the front of the guide rod, which is kind of an interesting thing. But it's got a little bit of stippling on it too. So it's got it in a few more places than the 365 does. The 365 has kind of a shallow finger groove here, and this part of the groove is not stippled, which is not a bad idea because that way it doesn't grind your finger right there under recoil. We've got a slightly more subtle finger groove on the Hellcat. It's there, but it's understated compared to what it is on the 365. And we do have some stippling right there. I did not notice shooting that any discomforts or any problems out of it. Both of those pistols are striker-fired guns. The 365 and the Hellcat use internal safeties like most modern things do that lock the firing pin. Sig uses a very lightweight firing pin, so they don't have a trigger safety piece mounted on the trigger itself. The Hellcat's got the two-piece trigger like Glock series weapons have. That, again, the purpose of that and the purpose of the lightweight firing pin, if you don't know, if either one of these dropped from some distance, landed right on the muzzle, it could cause the trigger to move under its own momentum just from the impact. When the trigger moves, it disengages the internal safety. So that feature on the Hellcat, just like on Glocks and other series pistols, other types of weapons that use this mechanism, it's built differently, but it's the same idea, keeps that trigger from moving far enough to disengage the internal safeties. On the Sig series guns, you got a very lightweight firing pin, doesn't have enough momentum to jump forward on its own, and so even if the trigger moves a little bit, the firing pin can't travel far enough to discharge the gun. So that's how those things work. These both have kind of semi-double stacked magazines in them. The 365, as we know and we've talked about in great detail, has two 10-round magazines with it. And that's a really small magazine to hold 10 rounds of ammunition. How hard is it to load? Not too bad. Not too bad. I've loaded bigger magazines that were a lot tougher than this. So it's not too bad. And magazine loaders like the Uplula and the little sleeve pieces and things like that work pretty good on these. So pretty small magazine to hold 10 rounds, but still not bad to load. Springfield Magazine. Very similar in size. Hold them up there. Looks like they're about the same height. Springfield Magazine, a couple components on it are slightly shorter, but overall we're looking at the same thing here. The Springfield Magazine holds one more round. It holds 11 compared to this one, which holds 10. Are they the same size? Yeah, they're pretty much the same size. Not a whole lot of difference in real estate there, again. The 365 comes with two 10-rounders. One of them which has a slightly longer base plate than this one, so you got one that's flat for maximum concealment, especially if it's a pocket or something like that. And then you got the other one that's got just a little bit of an extension, gives you a little anchor point for your finger. The Hellcat comes with one 12-round magazine with a flat base plate, and then you get another base plate so you can change it. Same idea, give you you got maximum concealment here, gives you one with just a little bit of an extension so you can get your small finger on there as long as you don't have great big hands. The Hellcat also comes with a second magazine that holds 13 rounds. it compares kind of favorably in size to the 12-round optional magazine that the 365 has available for it. We put these two mags together, pretty close. The Springfield's just a little bit bigger, just a little, but not very much. Again, not enough to be a big concern. 13 rounds, 12 rounds. Optional, costs $50. Optional, you buy them with the gun, or you get the tac pack pistol that has 3 of these things with it. 13 rounder comes with the Hellcat. Springfield's got a long history of putting a smaller capacity magazine and a bigger capacity magazine with a lot of their weapons. They've stuck to that methodology here. You got an 11 rounder, got a 13 rounder. With the longer magazines in. 365, longer magazine. Hellcat, longer magazine. Is there any difference in size? Not necessarily. That longer, well, it's kind of funny because if you look at it from this angle, the magazine on the Hellcat looks like it's a lot longer, but then if you turn it around, you notice that the 365 mag, I don't know how well you see this, the 365 mag kind of angles that way, where the Hellcat's doesn't have quite that same angle to it. If it did, they'd be virtually the same size. So once again, with the longer magazine in, 13 for the Hellcat, 12 for the 365. We don't have any significant difference in size. Now, we could have talked about the actual measurements of these guns, but let's face it, you can go online and you can look at all that stuff. Numbers are nice. Numbers are good information, but it's nice to get the two things side by side and actually see what they look like together. They feel very similar, too. I've shot both of these guns. Good, either one, good pistol. Pick the one you like for the reasons you like it, and I think you'll be happy. But the Hellcat, as we talked about, is the first really direct competitor to the 365. Features-wise on these things, just to kind of finish that up, they both take down really easily. The 365 has a takedown lever up here that rotates down. You lock it open, make sure it's empty and safe, because you always make sure anything's empty and safe if you're going to take it apart or mess with it, right? Right. So, rotates down, slide comes off, everything comes out very easy. The Hellcat uses the same methodology for taking down that the rest of the XD series guns do. The lever rotates up. Different, but it works. Rotates up. You end up with exactly the same components with either gun. One difference is the Hellcat, you got to pull the trigger to get the slide the rest of the way off, but you're going to start from a locked open position anyway when you rotate the lever up. So you still should be completely empty and safe if you're paying attention. And if you're not paying attention, don't do it. Walk away and come back later when you are, okay? On the 365, same thing. You start with the slide locked open, but you rotate the lever down, but you don't have to pull the trigger. The slide and the barrel and recoil spring will come right off. You end up with the same components with either gun if you take them down. Slide, barrel, recoil spring guide, and spring and frame. You end up with those components with either gun. So no big deal there. Pretty good products, either one of them. Just by way of mentioning it, it's 365s we have in stock. Hellcats we're temporarily out of. We're going to get more as soon as we can. Hopefully maybe this week or next week. Hopefully we'll get some more. But we are going to get some more. And we've had lots and lots of inquiries about them because we think they're pretty good. By the way, just by way of mentioning it, the 365 is made in Sig's facility here in New Hampshire, or I think it's New Hampshire. Here in the United States. The Hellcat is made by HS Product in Croatia. Springfield Armory imports it, puts their lifetime warranty on it. Springfield started importing the HS Product XD series pistols a long time ago because they were impressed with their quality. They were impressed with how well they were built. They were impressed with how they worked. And they're across the board, the XDs, the XDMs, the XDS, single stack small guns, and now the Hellcat, all work very similarly. We mentioned this before, we'll mention it again. The Hellcat does not, in contrast to all the other XDs, does not have a grip safety back here, which helps keep that grip small, okay? You know, there's a couple other pistols out there that hold similar capacities to these things. And to some degree, both of these pistols have taken those ideas and improved on them a little bit. But just by way of comparison, I thought, it might be kind of interesting to look at these compared to something else. And the something else that I was thinking of that's similar in capacity is a Glock 26, 9mm. This was one of the first pistols that had a smaller size, but a double-stacked magazine capacity. This particular one's a 5th generation gun. If we compare it to a 365, they look close, don't they? Well, there's not a lot of difference in some respects, but then there's a lot of difference in other respects. The 365 and the Hellcat 2 are significantly thinner. They're probably about 2/3 the width of a Glock 26. In terms of size, you can see the 365 is just slightly shorter, the 26 a little bigger, and we got them lined up there. The grip length is the same virtually with 10-round magazines. Same thing with the Hellcat. About 2/3 as thick, because the Hellcat and 365 are about the same thickness. If there's any difference, it doesn't amount to anything. Grip length is the same, just a little bit shorter. The 26, of course, in 4th or 5th generation guns, you get 3 10-round magazines with it. It does have an ambidextrous in the 5th generation. It has an ambidextrous slide release, and the magazine release is reversible. And then you get back straps that you can add and vary the grip size, where with the Hellcat or with the 365 you don't. But again, these pistols are aimed at trying to get them as small as possible, still make them shootable, still make them easily carried, all that sort of thing. But that's how they compare to a 26, which is also a 10-round magazine gun, right? So Glock, a while back, came up with the 43X, which is also a 10-round magazine gun. Now, the 43 and the 26 share pretty closely in terms of barrel and slide length, okay? But the grip on the 43X ends up being closer to the grip size on a 19. So if we compare it to one of these that we've been looking at, we notice it's right away longer, okay? But if we put the longer magazine in, we notice we're getting awfully close to the same size there, all right? 10-round magazine here, 13-round magazine here, very similar in overall size in terms of length, okay? So pretty close there. So just thought it might be kind of interesting to put those two together and so you could get a feel for those. The trend is probably going to continue. Who else is going to come out with something like this? I don't know. I don't have any insider information. But right now, at the top of the heap, partly because it's been out for longer, of course, it's in the pipeline, is the 365. $4.99 for the standard gun. We got plenty of them in stock. Chasing it closely, and probably closer as it starts to get into the pipeline more, and we get lots of these available, is the Hellcat. We mentioned that the Hellcat's going to have an optics-ready version. The 365 in the smaller gun doesn't have an optics-ready capability, at least not right now, but it does have it if you get the XL version. It'll have the plate back there, and Sig's got a very small site called the Romeo Zero. If you look, there's some people online that have been testing that gun on, or that site on the 365 XL. The reports are looking pretty interesting, actually. So if you like an optics site, you're going to be able to do that probably with either one of these platforms. That's another trend that's that we're seeing. People are steering towards being able to put optics, very small optics, on small carry pistols. So pretty good. These we're out of right now. We're going to get more of them. The standard gun, $529. The optics ready one, $559. They're on the way. Be patient. Check our website. You see them on the website. We got at least 2 of them in. You want to hold one, give us a call. We'll get some money down over the phone. It'll be here when you get here. These are the top 2 contenders right now in terms of features, night sights, durable finishes, stainless slide nitron on the 365, forged slide but good hard melanite coating on the Hellcat. In terms of features, capacity, these are the 2 that are kind of at the top of the heap right now. Doesn't mean the other guns are bad. They're not. If you got really small hands, either one of these may be too small for you. So you may want to steer towards something a little bit longer, a little bit bigger to fit you a little better. But either one of these guns are not, even fully loaded, are not too heavy that you couldn't pocket carry them. They certainly are going to work really well in a small belt holster or an inside the waistband rig. They're pretty small. They're pretty shootable. They work really well. We like them both. So if you're interested, come in and take a look and see what you think. Well, I think that's all I have for this time. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let us know. If you didn't, let us know. We want to know, okay? We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. You can always check our website. You're in the area, stop in and see us. Get some of these things in your hands. See what you think. We're always happy to help you. So for right now, I'm Alan for Old English Outfitters. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.